Hey, so I had a really interesting reaction to the video blog that I did yesterday. I think a lot of my friends were upset at me that, I don't know, that I was worried about insignificant things, that, that was so far beneath me. And you know what it is? It is so far beneath me, looking beautiful and being skinny, and it's ridiculous. So I I wrote a book a while ago. I have this really long, um, interesting and not so interesting story about you know uh, where I've come to, and there's a lot of my friends, friends that I've reconnected with on this page, on my Facebook page, and I wanted to tell you what happened after high school. um, so I'll back it up, and I wrote this book called an almost pop princess, and it was kind of self-deprecating and funny and sad and all that. But you know what? I'm not a very good writer, and I'm very unorganized, and I hate blogging because when I write things down on paper, it just sounds very pretentious and flowery, and I'm not really a pretentious person, so I edit myself as I go. It's stupid, so forget that. But I figured I would share the stories that I have from the book. Okay, well, from the beginning. In the beginning. This would be chapter 1. Okay, well, I started when I was very young, as a ballet student. My mother had a school. I trained with my mother for a long time, and then I kind of graduated up to the professional schools when I was about 12, mostly because my mom and I started fighting. I was at that annoying age where my poor mother. So I went to another school, and it was really intensely difficult. My mom took me to compete all over the place, in different cities and stuff. It was very, very competitive at a very young age, so I really learned to have this drive and work ethic. That's where it started. I got to be about 19. I decided that ballet just wasn't doing it for me, because you train so hard and just brutal, and you get very little return. You don't really have a lot of room, to express what you're feeling as an individual, because a lot of it is synchronization with other people, and it's a different kind of art form, very beautiful, but just, I don't know, kind of unsatisfying to me. So when I was about 19 years old, my brother, he was a drummer in high school. He was like 17, and he was in a band, and the singer quit, and they were going to go in the studio, and he called me, or he talked to me and said that he needed a singer fast and that he wanted me to do it. And I was like, I don't sing. I mean, I was a terrible singer. It was not even I would do all the high school plays, musicals, and I was a great performer and an awful singer, and everybody knew it. So I was not into that. But I love my brother. We're very close. We were so close back then too, and so I did it. But it wasn't so bad like I thought that I was, and so we continued to be a band for like 2 years, and then he got really, when he got into college, I think he really buckled down and got into school, and I got hooked on music, and that was it. I flunked out of college. I became the sort of loser in the family, but I wanted more than anything to be a musician now, because I found this way to be an artist without all the training and being microscopically thin, and so it was awesome. I could write exactly what I was thinking make a melody out of it, and it was a song that people responded to. Good or bad, there was a response, you know, and a relationship between the audience and a musician. So anyway, I kept going, you know, going on with this music thing, and I got to be around like close to 20, and I met my best friend Chris, and she and I would go and sneak into all the clubs. At that time there was a club called China Club in Chicago, and it was like the it club. I met my good dear friend Peter one night at the VIP room, and he was a manager, an aspiring manager, and actually it was kind of a beautiful thing to watch him claw his way up and become eventually a very successful music manager. Very, very successful. Great story in itself. I hope he writes his own book. Anyway, so I met Pete, and he lived in LA, I lived in Chicago. Chris and I got on a plane, we went to LA, and I had made a demo, and I wanted to give it to him to see what he thought and stuff, and it was okay. It wasn't great, but it was first attempt kind of thing. But the thing I did learn was how to model myself after him. He was an amazing business person, and I used to sit in his office for hours and just listen to him talk on the telephone and watch his mannerisms, and he was really cool the way that he dealt with people. People liked him, but he was a businessman too. Very difficult to balance that. Likeable business person. So eventually I went back to Chicago, and he stayed in LA, and we kept in touch, and I started working for my friend Reed, who had a big recording studio in Chicago. It was called Chicago Tracks, and he hired me as a receptionist. He was also friends with Pete, and Reed really believed in me early on. I think before I knew that I was any good. I always thought I was terrible, but he let me use his studio on off hours to write and record, you know, as much music as I wanted to. He would keep tabs on it, but it was a spec situation where, you know, later on down the road you would pay him back, and usually in spec situations they would put like a percentage, you know, like interest kind of thing on it. Well, Reed never did that. All he wanted or hoped was that I could somehow pay him back eventually, and would be fine with not, you know, he probably wasn't going to get paid. It was a very hit and miss kind of industry, but he did, and I spent thousands of his dollars, you know, recording and writing and recording. So but I kind of was lost. I didn't really know what I was doing at that point. I had heard this band, or this thing called 1001 Homo DJs. That was the name of the band. I had become friends with this guy Danny, and he owned Wax Trax Records. I met him through Reed, and Danny was great. He loved me, and he would let me go into the Wax Trax vault and just raid their vault and just take all these CDs home and just listen intensely to this music. And then I had discovered this band, or this song, and which I found out later on, it was Nine Inch Nails, the singer from Nine Inch Nails, Trent. So Peter came into town, and I went to dinner with him, and I said, you know, I want to do this, you know, I really want to do this. And he said, all right, well, I'll help you, but what are you trying to do? What kind of music? And I told him that, and he's like, okay, well, I'll introduce you to some of my friends in Chicago. And it was kind of an industrial rock town. I mean, not town, but it was an underground of this sort of edgy dance music. I mean, I was a dancer, so I really loved to move a lot, but I wasn't really into like house music, the whole, you know, Frankie Knuckles thing. I mean, I had respect, but it wasn't really my style.